I'm trying to plant out a grove of white sapotes so I can see them all. I'm trying to get, my goal is right now I think I'm at 15 or 17 varieties. I'd like to get up to about 30 varieties.
Zayne has the biggest selection of white sapote here in South Florida, for sure. All right, I am so excited. I'm at Zayns World Nursery. I just got off the phone with him. I didn't plan on being here today, but he told me, and I was so excited that my one Campbell graft that he did took. I'm still waiting on the others, but he said the reason why his took sooner is because he's doing it straight off the rootstock, and there's not as much energy as needed as the ones he did for me, where it wasn't just feeding a rootstock. The rootstock was feeding the whole tree. So that's why my grass might take a little longer, but he's confident that they're going to come out. This place is amazing. I mean, I'm like a kid in a candy store. I'm here next to all his jackfruits and all his other trees. This place is amazing. But so he was telling me about these varieties he has, and he has one called the Fuzzy. And I was like, I got way too many white sapotes, but how can I have the greatest collection of white sapote here in South Florida and not have a Fuzzy? I don't know anything about the Fuzzy. I heard about the rainbow one, but I don't know anything about the Fuzzy, so I think I'm gonna pick that up. So let's hear from Zayne now. Zayne has the biggest selection of white sapote trees for sale here in South Florida, and we're gonna talk about them here today. So ready to show us some white sapote trees?
Yes, I am. Let's get this going.
How'd you get so many rootstock? Last year, I remember you came to my house and you're like, do you have any seeds? Did you just do that everywhere you went?
Yeah, I probably did. Maybe I would say I did probably 350 white sapotes this year. So yeah, there's gonna be a lot of white sapotes in about 2 months. Where I think we're gonna be having like 8 varieties in stock and some new crazy ones from California. I'll talk about in a minute. But you know, right now I've already started bringing out Campbell's. There's some youngins, some Bonita Springs. So those ones are these ones are all grafted. Maybe I'd say these plants are probably 2 months old from grafting.
So 3 gallons of Campbell's.
Couple of youngins. The youngins are a little small. All these are really small right now. That's why I'm not like overly pushing them on Facebook.
And Bonita Springs as well.
Yeah, and then there's Bonita Springs are here.
Wow.
So yeah, they're not totally big. In about
what kind of graft did you use on these?
I just did a class graft. In about a month, the Campbells are gonna start looking like this. And so this one was done a month before these ones. I just did a few. And so
which one is that?
That's a Campbell.
A Campbell, okay.
So this one's already sold. But that's just to show you what they'll look like in about a month. And I think I grafted like somewhere near 100 white Campbells this year. So
100 Campbells, and when I was driving here, you told me you grafted a bunch of other things.
So yeah, then I got some scion shipped to me from California of a variety called Rainbow. And so he shipped me 16 pieces of scion that were about, I would say maybe 12 inches long. And with that, I was able to make 40 plants. That was 2 weeks ago that I grafted them. They already have the buds pushing out.
Now, when you say you were able to make 40, do you mean so you cut the wood?
Yeah, I cut the 16 branches because some of them were too thick and all that. I didn't like. He just shipped me a box of stuff, and so I cut it apart and I made 40. You only use like sticks this long.
So you don't need to just do the end. You could do.
No, you can do any part of it, and they're so simple that you don't even have to have them at any. They can be at any stage, and you can just it'll work. I also got a variety called Walton in, which is supposed to be another really good variety. I don't know anything about either one of those two yet, really, but I'm excited that I got those, and I was only able to make about 30 Waltons. That's
I heard about the Rainbow and a Walton, but they're California varieties, so is it still unknown how they'll do out here?
So it's very similar to the Chambers that I grow as well. That's a variety I brought back from California, I think 6 years ago, which I planted in the worst location of the yard I could have, so it still hasn't fruited. But since then, I do have a new one in the ground that is actually like 3 times the size of that one, and that one was just planted last year. So yeah, we don't know exactly how they're going to do in Florida. White sapote seem to thrive in all of Florida and even in California. I would say they're going to probably be similar. I'm sure there's gonna be a little bit of differences, but I don't see it as being
Well, I just spoke
crazy
to
different.
somebody from Hawaii, and they said he has a wet farm and a dry farm.
Yeah.
And some varieties do better
Yep.
on the wet farm and some better on the dry. And that would be the difference between Florida, and
so, but Florida isn't wet like Hawaii. Wet is very different than Florida because they get 200-300 inches of rain a year. Well, we get between 50 and 125 inches of rain depending on the year. So we're not dry, but we're not like wet.
So well, there they go, everybody. Get these. These are gonna go fast, especially after this video. So
And then we also did the one from Sal.
that's the Fruit Hunters, the one that's called Giant Flan.
Yeah. I don't know. So I saw the tree. There was fruits on it. The fruits were seemed normal size to me, honestly. The thing that was different was this tree is the largest white sapote tree I've ever seen. It had a trunk this big around.
Wow.
It looked like it had fallen over in a storm and landed on like some structure. And the new trunks were like this big around. Like this thing looked like it fell down 25 years ago. So again, it doesn't seem like it's that crazy bigger of a fruit. So we're making this one round. I'm gonna see how it does. I'm gonna put a couple in the ground, see how they fruit, and then from there.
But the fact that it fruits this time of year is amazing.
Yeah, so it does seem to fruit off season, and again we don't know 100% everything about that. Why is it fruiting off season? Is it the size of the tree? Is it where it is? And that's another thing that I want to learn about that variety. So yeah, I grafted 35 of them, and they're all pushing as well.
35 of those. Those are gonna go fast.
Yeah, so those are gonna be out, and that's the only 35 I'm making until my trees start fruiting, so I can evaluate it again before I just start making them continuously.
And when are those gonna be ready?
About a month.
Okay, I'm gonna be your first
In a
customer.
month, they'll be this big.
Okay.
And then, like I said, in a month and a half, 2 months, they'll be about the size of that Campbell I was holding a minute ago.
Now, when you have these seedlings, do you put any fertilizer or anything? Or no?
So these ones were just brought out to the nursery literally probably this morning. That's why they don't have the blue tags yet. They all have it written on the pot. They all get tagged up in the morning. But yeah, so these ones were all just brought out. The soil is very organic right now, and white sapotes are not. They don't seem like they're the heaviest of feeders. So I don't see a need to really over fertilize them. And I'm looking for them to thicken up like this. I'd rather have the trunks thicken up than the plants get super tall, because they will get lanky
Sure.
if I fertilize them too much.
Okay, so even that size, you don't fertilize them?
No, well, yeah, once they're up to like this size, they'll start getting fertilized. This is a fuzzy, but I don't know anything about the fuzzy.
Okay, so tell us what varieties you have for sale and what ones are coming for sale.
So right now we have Fuzzy, Redlands, Bonita Springs, Youngins, and Campbell. Those are the 5 varieties we have in stock. And then coming available soon will be the Fruit Hunters, the Chambers, the Youngins, the Rainbow, and the Walton. And then I'm gonna have a few McDills thrown in there. So right there we're at 10. And then the McDill would be 11. And then I'd probably get some Subels and Vernons and maybe a couple others. So I might have
Homestead.
Yeah, I might have up to 15 varieties in
Wow.
stock in about I would say 3 or 4 months. Now they are going to go fast, so I'm sure that I'm not going to have all of them in stock at the same day.
Sure. So show me the fuzzy.
The fuzzy's right here, and yeah, the leaves are very fuzzy. I feel this one.
Wow. Wow.
So I have not seen the fruit on this one. I do know it's a parent plant to the Subel, and that's about all I know about it. And so I can't say much. I really grafted them from the tree so I could get a couple in the white sapote area that I'm planting.
Who has the tree?
It's down at the Fruit and Spice Park.
Oh, do they? Because when I called them up, they didn't mention they had that. They said they only had 2 there.
They have a Youngins, a Bonita Springs, a Subel, a Redlands, a Fuzzy, and a Vernon. So they have 7.
Okay, say that again. What they have?
Oh, okay.
Huh.
Youngins, Bonita Springs, Subel, Redlands, Vernon, Fuzzy.
And they let them grow big.
Yeah, no, these are all big trees that fruit. This year they didn't fruit very well, but previous years normally the ground's covered there in fruit.
Have you tasted the fuzzy or no?
No, like I said, I've never seen fruit.
Do they all fruit at the same time there?
A little bit. They're about 2 months off. I do know that I can't think of which ones are right now.
Sure,
It's
sure.
been a long day.
Amazing, amazing. All right, everybody. Zayne is taking care of a customer here. I'm telling you, everybody, grab a Campbell White Sapote and get some of the other types he has. He has a Bonita Springs, which I hear is amazing, like I said, and Vernon, and all the ones I just mentioned. He has them. Zayne has the biggest selection of White Sapote here in South Florida, for sure. And amazing what he has. I'm really excited. So this is going to be empty soon. He just put them out today, and I'm going to try to get this video out here in a day or two so you guys can check it out. So here goes his another fuzzy here. Really amazing what he has growing on here. And these are some of the hardest trees to get, and to be available or right next to these trees, I feel pretty honored and amazing. This kid's great, and these trees are great. I mean, I can go on and on all the different varieties he has of everything, but when it comes to these White Sapotes here, cars are going by. I'm so thankful for all people, all the nurseries that are selling White Sapote, all the ones I mentioned. I'll put all their links below. Definitely check and support all the local businesses. But Zayne is really going out of his way to make sure White Sapote is becoming like mangoes here in South Florida. He has the biggest selection, and he grafted all of these, and they took, and it's exciting. How could I leave here without getting a fuzzy? I'm going to get a fuzzy. And, all right, so let's go see Zayne now. Zayne took me in his yard, and he's showing me one of his trees here. This is a Subel.
Yeah, so this Subel was planted as a 2-foot tall plant 2 years ago, and this tree has fruited. It is, I would say that's probably 10 feet tall, maybe a little taller, and probably about 8 feet wide. And so, like I always say, white sapotes are very fast growers once they're put in the ground. At the beginning, it takes them a couple of months to get to a sellable plant, but then once they go in the ground, they'll become like this in 2 years.
So I got a couple of questions. This is his Subel.
Yes.
Now, several things. Number one is it's in a shady area.
It's in a horrible location, yeah.
Do you think that matters for White Sapote?
Yeah, as you see, the tree is actually leaning in the sunny direction. There's not really a great direction for it to even go. So, again, I kind of stuck it here because I needed the scion. I didn't need the tree.
Okay.
I needed the scion. So, it's not really here for me to get fruit. It's not really here for me to like...
Now, the other thing is, because it's so close to the other tree, is that why it's pretty much growing up straight and skinny?
No, that's how I trained it to grow. I chopped all the branches off. These are all Patangatumbas. There's a row of them here. So I really didn't want it going into those. I wanted it above those. And there's also a fence right here where my pig pen is. And so I wanted to grow onto the other side of the pig pen and drop the fruits in there for them.
Now, if it was sunny in this area, let's say there was no other trees than just this tree.
Yes.
And you trained it to grow just like this, would you get a good amount of fruit?
Oh, yeah, no. If this thing was in a sunny area and it had the same structure, yeah, it'd be straight up. So it'd be like probably 10 feet around, and it'd probably have a great canopy up there, and it'd probably produce a couple hundred fruits.
Okay.
For me.
Bananas are different than white. I mean, White Sapote is different than mangoes.
Yeah.
So tell me, how close do you think you can get away with planting these together if you keep them trimmed?
If you trim them properly, if you wanted to plant them like closest to close, 5 to 10 feet apart, I would say.
Would you say the same as mangoes, or these you can plant even closer?
I would say you plant these even closer because these, the roots will just graft together and the branches will just fuse together up in the canopy. So you could just let it kind of turn into one living tree, and they won't really be out competing each other. Like a mango tree, when you plant two mango trees next to each other, they're fighting for the nutrients. When you plant two white sapote trees together, they kind of, I think they more fuse the roots together and turn into like one root system. Because a lot of very fast growing trees do that.
What's your opinion of a white sapote hedge?
It's gonna be difficult because they are very vigorous once they're planted, and so as long as you're going through and trimming it, and you know when to not trim it to not destroy your flower buds, I would say it would work fine. The thing is, it's just timing flower buds and growth to not have to worry about damage.
So if you plant two next to each other, or like three in one hole,
Yeah,
like
I
you
would
did
say
with
you
the
can plant them in
mango,
one hole too, and they'll just fuse together and turn into one tree, and
but
you'll have three different varieties.
three different varieties in one
in
tree.
hole. Yeah, they do that really easy. I've done that with white sapotes, and yeah, they just fuse right together.
When you say fuse together, what do you mean?
They'll just basically all their roots will graft together, and once the trunks get big enough, they'll all just turn into one trunk and be just one tree.
But you'll still have three varieties on it.
Yeah.
So explain that some more. The bottom part will become one trunk.
It depends if you like. The closer you plant them, the sooner it will happen. But like, let's say you plant them like here, here, and here. Once the trunks are this big around, it's here, here, and here, and they overlap. They'll fuse together and just graft to each other and basically be nurse stocks to each other with the different branches producing the different fruits.
So they're not going to kill each other, or
I don't think. No, they shouldn't. Now, like there are certain varieties that are probably like we don't really know the growth habit of each one yet. So, once we know each one's growth habit, like McDill and Chambers have a very similar growth habit, while their growth habit is very different from all these other ones. So those two, you don't want to mix a Chambers, a Campbell, and a Youngans together. But I would say a Youngans, a Campbell, and a Bonita Springs will be fine, and a McDill and a Chambers would be fine. And then I'm sure there's other ones that have the attributes of the Chambers and the McDill that will grow well together.
Of all the ones you've tasted personally so far, which one is your personal favorite?
Youngans.
Youngans.
Yes. It's also called Golden. That is, to me, my favorite. Campbell is very, very close. But I would still say Youngans is above Campbell. But Campbell seems very productive. So I have only ever had one Campbell fruit, so I can't say too much about it because it's not like I've had a lot of them today. I probably had 20 or 30 different Youngans fruits. And then I also really, really enjoy Bonita Springs.
Okay. All right, I'm going to go with Xain this summer down to Fruit and Spice Park, and we're going to make videos in front of those trees.
All right.
Yeah, we'll make that happen, and we're going to try to meet up in front of that the giant flan tree.
Yeah, I got to talk to you about that.
Yes, okay.
That sounds like a plan.
All right, so there it is. That's just an example. 2 years this tree's grown, and if you plant a tree as a 3 gallon now, are you saying in 2 years you'll have fruit?
I would say I've seen 3 gallons hold fruit themselves. Most are not. Most, like, I would say you got a pretty good chance of getting fruit within a year, but I'm going to tell everybody 2 years is when you expect to get fruit with proper conditions. Because, like this tree, it's in a terrible location, yet it's still growing really vigorously and fast because I mulched the ground. You can see the ground. This was 2 feet of mulch 4 months ago over this whole area around each tree. And so I do a lot of mulching. I fertilize well and all that. So even though there's palm trees back there, there's a coconut tree there's a bunch of trees here, there's a giant mango tree, trunk like 4 feet away from it, we're not running into any issues of the tree not having enough nutrients.
If people have room for only one tree, people ask me, does it self-pollinate?
No. That's the sad truth is you're going to get very few fruits with only one white sapote tree. You're not going to get no fruits, but
so it will self-pollinate, just not...
You're going to get very tiny fruits that have aborted seeds and that aren't very flavorful and a lot of times will be bitter. If you have 2 trees of 2 separate varieties, you will get much larger fruits that are like that. Like, so we're talking about this Fruit Hunter's Giant. That one, for instance, that tree is in the middle of an avocado farm. There's no white sapote in the area. And that one seems to fruit pretty well on its own. So I'm sure when you are growing them, there are certain varieties that will self-pollinate. And a variety like that, who knows what will happen to the fruits if you put another tree next to it. Maybe the fruits, maybe it is an even bigger fruit than it produces already. And once it gets pollinated, the fruits are getting even bigger. So it's all, right now, white sapotes, they're not new to Florida, but they're new to a lot of eyes. And so nobody ever put a lot of attention into white sapotes. And that is what's going on now. And I'm trying to plant out a grove of white sapotes so I can see them all. I'm trying to get, my goal is, right now I think I'm at 15 or 17 varieties. I'd like to get up to about 30 varieties. I'd like to cap my cap for white sapotes, I think will be 30 varieties. And then I might dwindle it down to about 25 best and then keep it at that.
Do you think it could fruit in a pot?
Yeah. You're gonna get very few fruits. You can put it in like 100-gallon and it'll basically be in the ground, but then you might as well just stick it in the ground. But yeah, no, they will produce a few fruits in the pots again. Like all trees, I recommend putting them in the ground unless it's jaboticaba. Jaboticabas do better in pots.
And what is the temperature, like the limit? Because I know it grows in colder climates, zone 8, zone 9, but what's the limit?
I would say that, again, I have never seen one growing in snow. I would say snow might be the limit. If it gets cold but doesn't snow, your tree will probably be fine. But if it starts snowing on the tree, because snow is a lot colder than cold, so snow will freeze the trunk solid and probably do a lot of damage.
All right. Well, thank you, man. We're looking forward to the updates. And everybody, I'm going to put the link below. Get them. Get these white sapotes. All right, everybody. There it was. I'm so excited. This place is amazing. And thank you for all you're doing with the white sapotes.
And thank you, Paul, for promoting it and making them famous.
Yes. So together, we're going to make Florida white sapote filled with so many trees and everything. It's going to be amazing.
There'll be a white sapote tree on every street corner.
Yes, and we know that mango does so great here, but white sapote should be just as popular because it grows great. It actually grows farther north than mangoes will successfully, and they freeze just as well. So I'm excited about it, and they probably fruit. The season might even be longer because we now know of that variety that's possibly off-season.
Yeah, and I'm sure with the more varieties that we get in Florida, like I'm trying to get a lot of the varieties out of California, just so I can put them into trial and see if they even fruit here. Who knows if some of those ones fruit off-season here. We could maybe get them to where you have avocados, where you have them almost all year long. That would be amazing, because then you wouldn't even need to freeze them.
Yes, now... They're not true to seed, are they?
White sapotes, no. So a lot of times when you plant a white sapote seed, you're going to get a very bitter fruit. And that's not tasty at all.
How long will you get a fruit from a seed normally?
About 4 to 5 years.
4 to 5 years. All right, everybody. This is Xain. I'm going to put his link below and all the other links I spoke about in this video. Definitely check them all out and support all your local nurseries and get on here out to Zayns World Nursery and get a white sapote tree. Have a great day, everybody, and keep growing. All right, everybody. I don't do this to get gifts. I do this because I really want to get the word out about fruit trees and just teach people. As I'm learning, I want people to learn. But sometimes there are perks. Xain is blessing me with a gift.
So
not the first time, by the way.
So, Paul, here we have a fuzzy white sapote. And this is a gift for your collection, since I know that you are trying to collect every white sapote variety known to man.
Yes, and they didn't name it after me, Fuzzy. It was already named. But it's because the leaf is fuzzy.
Yeah, the leaf is like...
So is this ready for the ground yet, or should we wait till the spring?
This is more than ready for the ground. Okay. This could have probably been planted even a couple weeks ago, but this is definitely ready. It is 2 growth points, so it's not going to be like it's going to grow more bushy you don't want your stuff growing huge.
All right. Thank you, man. Thank you, everybody. That is Zayns World. I'm going to post a link below. Get on out here. Get yourself a white sapote and many of their other fruit trees that they have. All right. Have a great day, everybody, and keep growing. And thank you, Xain.